Welcome to New York Institute of Technology's podcast, The Scope. Produced by the College of Osteopathic Medicine, our episodes focus on the medical school experience and how it helps shape future physicians. Learn about exciting new health and wellness initiatives, cutting-edge medical research and technology, and how to effectively navigate medical school. We are excited to have you join us.
I am Dr. Nicole Wadsworth, Dean of NYIT College of Osteopathic Medicine, and I'm pleased to present part 2 of my recent interview with Chair of the NYIT Board of Trustees, Mr. Peter Romano.
So that started a 30-year career at New York Hospital, New York Presbyterian Hospital. They built on a 5-year to 7-year rotating cycle. So a project takes 7 years. Halfway through that, you start the next project so that when you finish one, you go into construction of the second one, then the third one, then the fourth one. So you have no break in the continuity of growth and development. That's where this all comes from, what I try to do here. When New York Hospital merged with Columbia Presbyterian, because back in this would be in the 2000s now, all the hospitals were becoming mega hospitals. My role there stayed the same, but now I was on 2 campuses. So we do a project on the downtown campus, then go up to 168th Street, do a project there, then come back to 68th Street and do a project there. And so we got to go back and forth. And then as the hospital networks began to expand, all of them did, New York Hospital began to take on, New York Presbyterian began to take on other hospitals under their umbrella, Queens, some other ones. And so we would go out and do work at their campuses, build buildings for them as well, manage projects for them as well. So not by design, not that I'm that smart. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. I think back at it, I was really young. I was in my 40s, and they trusted me with a $900 million project. All of us on that project team were really young people, and we got it done. And I think the thing about that was, as I think back, is we were probably too stupid to know what we didn't know, and so we did things on that project that were completely unusual. And you think back today, I can't believe we pulled some of that stuff off. We fabricated steel in Canada for that building. You couldn't truck it down from Toronto to New York without taking it apart. So someone said, well, Toronto's on Lake Erie. Lake Erie is connected to the Erie Canal. The Erie Canal is connected to the Hudson River. Let's put it on a barge. Why not? So, of course, it's the winter time when we're ready to start shipping steel. It's the early fall. The Erie Canal closes. We'll keep it open. Kept the Erie Canal open all winter long. Shipped all the steel down on barges. So now the steel's coming down on barges, and we say, well, where are we going to put it? Well, let's put it in Jersey, in Raritan, because that's the only place big enough to put all the steel. So it means it's a building that's 2 blocks long, 2 city blocks long. So while we're putting it in Jersey, we said, well, why don't we put it together, see if it fits, right? The engineer said, maybe we ought to do this. So we started assembling this platform, 2 levels of the platform. And so we had this whole thing there, and lo and behold, it actually fit, because we were building the columns on the river, and on the inboard side of the FDR Drive, we closed down the East River to put the platforms up. And what we did is rather than take them apart, we segmented them into sections, right? You put a section here, you leave a gap, put a section here. And we put them on top of barges, and we shipped them up from Jersey to the East River, and we hoisted them into position. We took the largest crane in the world to do that. The crane came on its own barge and had 2 tugboats to maneuver it. It's just, again, someone said, we're doing this today. I said, you're trying to mind. You're not doing this today. This is ridiculous. So we did it, and we built the building, and it came in on time. It came in on budget, and I guess the administration was happy. So they said, Pete, let's do this one here, and then let's do that one there, let's do that one there. And that's how we stayed in business. I've never had more than 5 people working with me under my corporate umbrella. We've relied on, my philosophy has always been, I'm going to give you the building, so it's better that you, the hospital, work on it with us, know what we're doing, so that when we're out of here, you know why we made these decisions, you know where all the radiators are, you know where all the boilers are. And so we built up a huge project team on that side between the owner, the contractors, the architects, the engineers, and we just provide the overall management on a day-to-day basis.
Well, that's incredible. I mean, just in having seen that building from multiple vantage points, it's really phenomenal.
It was, and it changed, you know, in addition to just building a building, it changed how medicine was delivered to the patients, because prior to that, you know, you had a patient on this floor who has cancer or whatever, another patient on that floor had cancer, and then, you know, it's scattered all over the place, and the doctors and physicians are running back and forth like this. And so the concept of horizontal centers of excellence emerged, where you bring all the patients on the same floor with the same ailments. Now you deliver the best level of care you can, because you're centralized that level of care. The physicians and the nursing staff are all centered there. So it's better for the patient experience, it's better for the family experience, and it makes operating the hospital that much more efficient. So being part of the design of different hospitals over time, you get to watch how it evolves, how medicine has been evolving. You know, you look at technology. You put an X-ray machine in, and when I started my career, you didn't have to change it for 10 years. By the end of my career, you put an X-ray machine in, you were changing it every 2 years. You put an MRI in, it's outdated in 5 years. Put a gamma knife in, or some of these other pieces of equipment, the technology is increasing, the ability of what these instruments can do is changing, but the building has to adapt around it. So like with the brick, right? Mm-hmm. We put an MRI in the brick, and one of the things we did is we put a big roof hatch over the MRI in the roof. Why? Because I know in 3 years, Dr. Ballantyne's going to say, that machine just isn't big enough. We need a 5T to 7T or whatever. And why are we going to rip out every wall between here and the front door to get that thing out? Let's just lift it up through the roof and put the new one in that way. So we learn things like this from making mistakes. But it's rewarding to be part of that decision-making process and design process, and then you watch it actually happen. And then you get to take that information and that knowledge and you share it with other people. Mm-hmm. And so that they don't make the same mistakes you made 3 projects ago. Right?
Perfect advice. Learn from your mistakes.
Learn from your mistakes.
Accept that you'll make the mistakes.
Welcome them.
Certainly the last 2 decades, and you even speaking even longer, seen lots of change, rapid advancements in technology, business, healthcare. So how do you feel about these changes and how they've impacted the professional arena, such as student education, certainly now and moving forward? So how are these changes really impacting our educational mission and endeavor?
I'll tell you what I see. So years ago, we'd sit down with the client and you'd talk about design, and you'd take out a roll of yellow tracing paper, and take out your pencil and you'd do little doodads. And then you'd go back to the office and you'd marshal about 15, 20 people around drafting tables, and they start drafting and everything. And then 2 weeks later, you have a design, you go back to the owner. Okay, and that was the process. Today, you go to a meeting, there's a 22-year-old kid sitting next to you, right? He or she's got their laptop. You got a TV screen on the wall that's the size of a football stadium. And as we're talking, they're designing. And rather than wait 2-3 weeks to get the design, you walk out of that room with the design, 99% done, signed off, ready to go. That's the change I see from being an architect or being in the architectural field. The technology that comes to bear by the young professionals coming out is just phenomenal. The resources that they can bring to the table is just, it's incredible. There was a thing years ago called the Sweets catalog, right? So it was these big green volumes, took 9 shelves, and it had every product you can imagine. You wanted a window, well, you opened the Sweets catalog, you went to the window. Oh, look, I got a window here. You're in the meeting, and these kids are pulling this stuff up. And while you're talking about, well, we think we better put a door here or a roof hatch or whatever. Okay, well, how about this one? How about this one? Is this one what you want to look at? No? Okay, let's look at this one. So all this research you would do, they can do instantaneously. So our obligation as educators is to give them the tools, teach them the tools that allow them to work in that kind of an environment. And that environment is changing every day. Quantumly, right? AI wasn't here 5 years ago. AI here today. What's going to be here in 5 more years? What's going to be here in less than that? You know, and we had Alvy Smith at commencement 2 years ago, and he said the rate of change is happening so fast that there's going to get a point in time where you can't really keep up with it. And so I think we're beginning to see that, and we're going to see that more. So our obligation is to challenge ourselves, right? What do we need to be doing to make sure that they're prepared to do what they need to do? So that's why when we have a board meeting and all the deans are sitting around the table and we make you guys give us a 15-minute presentation on what this particular school is doing, what this particular school is thinking about. Because out of those conversations, out of those discussions, you begin to hear, well, what ifs? Well, what if this happens, or what if that happens? But what's this going to do to our industry or to medicine or whatever? And that allows us as a group to say, okay, this is what we need to be thinking about, and then, well, what does that mean? What do we really need to do to get there? And so then, you guys will sign a whole bunch of people. You look at that and you report back, and out of that comes an idea of something we want to do. And that's what you have to keep that going, right?
Yep.
You can't get stagnant.
No, agreed. Keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward.
So as a follow-up with all the change and everything you said, I completely agree with. And I see right now people are either afraid of it and we're going to lose jobs, or how does this augment what I do and make me better, right? It seems like there's 2 camps. And with that said, what are some personal qualities that you would suggest to be really, really important to be effective in today's world?
I'll tell you, the best piece of advice I got from my wife was count to 10. Count to 10. Yeah, you're going to get upset. Yeah, you're going to get aggravated. But count to 10, right? Because you can't, number one, when you get barraged by something, whatever it is, it's a lot to comprehend. And sometimes it scares the crap out of you, right? So my recommendation is step back from the table, right? You don't have to make a decision instantaneously. Think about it. Try to understand more about it. Talk to people who know more about it. And then that'll help you formulate your idea, be it a personal matter or a professional matter or something you got to talk to with the client. And it'll give you more perspective. And what you need, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 50 years ago, you need perspective. What we don't have today is perspective because of the way social media works. Everything is on a 24-hour news cycle and everyone is jumping to that. Sometimes you got to pull back. I tell the guys who work with me in my office, don't send an email out. Wait till tomorrow. Just hold it. Think about it. And so that's my advice to you. You're not going to stop technology. You're not going to do it. I look at AI today as, I try to imagine what it was like when they invented the printing press or the telephone came into being. What did people think back then? Oh my God, all that, right? So it's the personal computers that we have on our desks have changed how we do business with. We've grown accustomed to them. We carry them in our pockets now, our cell phones, right? Yeah. They're just personal computers. So I think you need to recognize it's always going to change. The ground underneath your feet is always going to be shifting. You're always going to be out of tune. Remember that. But don't let it petrify you. Don't let it scare you. you'll get around to figuring out what you need to do. It might take you a week, might take you 2 weeks, but you'll get to where you need to be comfortable. And then you can make a rational decision.
Great advice. So it's been really wonderful to hear about your career, your commitment to NYT, your philanthropy. What are some things that you'd like to share about things you like to do outside of all those incredible things, your hobbies or other passions that you have?
I like cooking. I find it relaxing. So my wife and I, we sort of divided responsibilities in the house. So I should just point out, Jane's my partner. She runs the business. She allows me to go out and talk to clients and stuff. So we're both working. We had the 4 kids, the 4 boys. So I did all the cooking every night for when when they were all growing up in the house. And sitting around the table wasn't mandated, but that became an important part of our growing up. I see it's an important part of my 2 sons who have kids. They like to have dinner, with their kids around the table and everything. My life has been my career. And I guess a lot of people who run businesses and have businesses, that's what it is. That's what you want. That is your passion. That's what you do. That's why you do it, right? Yeah. Right now, I'm quasi-retired, so to speak. I spent some time in our town. There's a conservancy that has the responsibility to oversee a farmstead that was built in 1835, 1850 something. A single family has owned it for 157 years. They sold it to the city of Rye, and now the conservancy is responsible for maintaining and upgrading it. So I volunteer my time with them, looking at their capital. How are we going to build this? What are we going to do there? So just taking what we do here, just scaling it down to to the chicken coop and to the barn. And I enjoy doing that sort of stuff. I don't know. We're in Jen and I are in a point of transition in our lives. Our kids. We have 2 on the West Coast, 2 on the East Coast. So the kids on the West Coast have grandkids. The kids on the East Coast have grandkids. So now that I'm not working all the time, we get to go to California more often, hang out there more often, which is fun. One of our sons has a farm, so we spend a week or 2 up on the farm. Anyone who thinks farm life is easy is absolutely crazy. Just absolutely crazy. Last time we were up there, it rained. We were there for 7 days. It rained 7 days. And Quinn, my son Quinn, myself, and some guys he works with, we were chopping wood in the rain to store wood for the whole winter season. So I admire him. It's not an easy job. Not an easy job at all. And so he has a 140-acre farm up in Northern California, and it's off the grid. Oh, wow. And so he's responsible for his power, his water, taking care of his chickens, among all the crops he's grown and everything. So his barn. So while we were chopping wood outside, Jane was inside the barn, which is a mini Home Depot, organizing all the tools and everything. And he lives 2 hours away from the nearest hardware store.
Oh, wow.
So if something breaks on the farm, number one, you better have the part there you need, and number 2, you better know how to put it back in the truck or into whatever. So I give him a lot of credit. Our oldest son is a teacher at a private school in California. That's another hard job. Teaching is not an easy, not at all. It's not anywhere recognized and respected the way it needs to be in this country. And I'm talking about the country. Nick is it's Quinn. It's Pete Quinn. Nick is went out to business on his own 2 years ago. He's developing projects that are energy efficient, rely on the energy grid, electric cars, things like that. So he's focusing on building projects that are in that vein. And our youngest son, Will, works for a family doing their investments in real estate. They invest in real estate all across the country, doing different things. They have a very, very wide portfolio of projects they work on. And so Will goes out there, looks at the property, tells them whether to buy or not, hires the people to build them, gets it all up and running, and manages that. So, I never wanted my kids to go into my business. I never invited them to do it. Two of them are sort of in related businesses, which is nice, and the other two are doing other things which I think are good and important to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing about your family. That's incredible.
I'm proud of my kids. I'm good. They're all good. They're all good boys.
So as we're sort of wrapping up, one last question I'll ask you. For our medical students, any particular advice you'd like to share with them? You certainly have shared lots of advice.
I'll tell you what, if you're a medical student right now, I tell you, if you can't get your MBA, medicine, if anything today, is a business. And I think I've been at hospitals where they've been run by businessmen and they've been run by physicians. The hospitals that are run by physicians have a different understanding of what's required than a hospital that's run by a business person. A hospital that has a physician at the head of it who also needs to understand the business aspects, because it's a hugely expensive proposition getting into running a hospital. You need to have a business background. Mm-hmm. And so I think if you're a young physician and you have the opportunity to get your MBA, that also opens up your opportunity to do more things within the medical profession. So like me, I'm trained as an architect, but I don't practice architecture. So you might be trained as a physician, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need to practice as a physician. You could take those skills and help build buildings or run facilities that allow your peers to do that for you. Your education is a language that you learn, and it should allow you to do other things with it, not just necessarily that thing you thought you were going to start to do, and never stray from that path. You can always take your education and your language and use it to achieve other things, in my opinion.
That's great advice. Well, Mr. Romano, this truly has been a privilege to speak with you and learn about your family and your career. And thank you for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us today. I want to thank you for your strong dedication to New York Institute of Technology, and we're grateful for all you do.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the school and how great it is. And I hope anyone listening to this gets a good laugh out of it, if anything else.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.